Have you ever felt an unexplainable pull toward certain people? An instant distrust of others? A rage that doesn't match the situation? What if I told you that hidden inside your mind is an ancient tribal code, millions of years old, that's secretly controlling your decisions right now? And what's more disturbing, other people can hack this code to manipulate you without you ever knowing. Carl Jung discovered this dark secret over a century ago, and what he found was so unsettling that it changed psychology forever. By the end of this video, you'll never see your own mind the same way again. Let's dive into the shadows. Most people think they're in control of their thoughts. They believe their choices are rational, carefully considered, personal. They're wrong. Deep in the basement of your psyche lives something Jung called the collective unconscious, a hidden layer of your mind that you share with every human who has ever lived. And within this darkness dwell the archetypes, ancient psychological patterns that have been carved into our DNA through millions of years of tribal survival. These aren't just abstract concepts from psychology textbooks. These are living forces that push you toward lovers, make you follow leaders, trigger your fears, and compel you to defend ideas you can't even explain. Today, we're going into the forbidden territory Jung mapped out. We're talking about the tribal code that runs beneath your conscious awareness, and how understanding it gives you a power that most people will never possess. But I have to warn you, once you see these patterns, you can't unsee them. You'll start recognizing them everywhere, in yourself, in others, in society. Are you ready for that? Then let's begin. Jung's first dark secret is something he called the shadow. Picture this. You're in a meeting, and a colleague takes credit for your idea. Instantly, you feel a flash of pure hatred. Not annoyance, but genuine murderous rage that lasts only a microsecond before your civilized mind suppresses it. That's your shadow speaking. The shadow is everything you've been taught to deny about yourself. It's the tribal savage that lives beneath your polite exterior. Your ancestors survived by being aggressive, territorial, and ruthlessly self-interested. Those who weren't died out. Their genes didn't make it to you. But here's where it gets dark. The shadow doesn't disappear just because society tells you to be nice. It lurks in your unconscious, waiting. And when you refuse to acknowledge it, it grows stronger and more dangerous. Jung discovered that people who claim to be purely good are often the most dangerous. Why? Because they've repressed their shadow so completely that when it finally erupts, it's catastrophic. The kindest people can suddenly explode in rage. The most moral can be caught in shocking scandals. But there's another twist. Your shadow doesn't just attack others. It attacks you through projection. Ever instantly disliked someone for no reason? That's often your shadow. You're seeing the parts of yourself you hate reflected in them. The qualities you despise in others are frequently the qualities you've buried in yourself. The tribal code here is simple. In ancient tribes, conformity meant survival. Anyone who displayed unacceptable traits was cast out or killed, so we learned to hide these traits even from ourselves. But they're still there, pulling strings from the darkness. The people who understand this, the manipulators, the dark psychologists, they know how to weaponize your shadow against you. They can make you project onto their enemies. They can trigger your repressed rage and direct it wherever they want. Now, let's go deeper into the tribal code. Jung identified universal patterns he called archetypes, ancient blueprints for human behavior that exist in everyone's unconscious mind. These aren't learned, they're inherited. They're the psychological equivalent of instincts. Let me show you how powerful these are. Why do we love underdog stories? Why does every culture have myths about a hero's journey? Because the hero archetype is hardwired into your brain. In tribal times, The person who could overcome the monster, defeat the rival tribe, or brave the unknown was invaluable to the group's survival. Advertisers exploit this constantly. They position their product as the weapon you need to overcome your challenges. Political leaders activate your hero archetype to make you fight their battles. Once this archetype is triggered, you'll act against your own self-interest because it feels right on a primal level. This is the source of your deepest comfort and your darkest anxieties. The nurturing mother figure is embedded in your psyche from millions of years of evolution. Babies who bonded with their mothers survived. Those who didn't died. But the mother has a dark side too. The devouring mother who smothers, controls, and prevents growth. This archetype is why some people never emotionally mature. They're caught in the mother's grip, seeking comfort over growth. Cult leaders often activate the mother archetype, positioning themselves as the ultimate nurturer who will take care of all your needs if only you surrender your autonomy. Perhaps the most dangerous archetype is what Jung called the Shadow King, or dark masculine authority. This is the tyrant that lives in the collective unconscious, the cruel leader who demands absolute obedience. Throughout history, dictators have risen to power by activating this archetype in the masses. People want to submit to strong authority because, in tribal times, following the alpha meant protection and resources. Challenging authority meant death. Here's the disturbing part. You have this pattern in your brain right now. Under the right circumstances, fear, chaos, uncertainty, you could be triggered to follow a tyrant and believe you're doing the right thing. Understanding these archetypes isn't just academic, it's survival. Because the people who master archetype manipulation can control entire populations. They can make you love what hurts you and hate what helps you. Here's where Jung's psychology gets truly eerie. The collective unconscious means you don't just have your memories and your experiences shaping your mind. You have the accumulated psychological patterns of your entire species living inside you. This explains phenomena that science struggles with. Why do children who've never seen snakes instinctively fear them? Why do we all dream in similar symbolic patterns? Why can a skilled storyteller from any culture move us to tears with the same archetypal stories? It's the tribal code, the shared mental software that connects all humans. But this connection can be weaponized. Mass movements, propaganda, and social contagion all work because they tap into the collective unconscious. When one person's archetype is activated, it can trigger a cascade effect through groups, crowds, and entire societies. Think about mass hysteria, moral panics, or viral trends that seem to possess everyone simultaneously. That's the collective unconscious synchronizing, the tribal mind overriding individual thought. Jung witnessed this firsthand in Nazi Germany. He saw how an entire educated, civilized nation could be possessed by dark archetypal forces. The Shadow King, the ancient tribal bloodlust, the need for a scapegoat. Rational people became monsters because their tribal code was activated. This is happening today, right now, all around you. Different tribes, same ancient patterns. The technology changes, but the tribal code remains. So if we're all running on this ancient tribal code, are we just puppets? Are we doomed to be manipulated by anyone who understands these dark secrets? Jung said no, but only if you do the work. He called it individuation, the process of becoming conscious of your unconscious patterns. It's one of the hardest psychological journeys you can undertake, but it's the only path to real freedom. Here's how you start. Step 1. Befriend your shadow. Stop pretending you're purely good. Acknowledge your capacity for darkness. When you feel intense, negative emotions towards someone, I'd ask yourself, what part of myself am I seeing in them? Write down the traits you hate most in others. Now, be brutally honest. Where do those traits exist in you? This is painful, but it's necessary. The shadow you acknowledge loses its power over you. Step 2. Recognize your archetypes. Which archetypes run your life? Are you stuck in the eternal hero, burning yourself out trying to save everyone? Are you trapped by the mother, seeking comfort over growth? Are you possessed by the Shadow King, dominating others to feel powerful? Name your patterns. Once you see them, you can choose whether to follow them or not. Step 3. Question your tribal allegiances. Your brain desperately wants to belong to a tribe. It will sacrifice truth, morality, and even self-interest to maintain tribal membership. Ask yourself, which of my beliefs are actually mine, and which am I holding to stay in the tribe? This is terrifying because true independence means you might have to stand alone. But that's the price of consciousness. Step 4. Study the manipulators. Learn the dark psychology techniques that others use to control the tribal code, not to use them unethically, but to defend against them. When you understand how your buttons are being pushed, you can choose not to react. Carl Jung spent his entire life mapping the darkest territories of the human mind. What he found wasn't comforting. He discovered that we're far less individual, far less rational, and far more tribal than we want to believe. But he also found hope, because once you understand the tribal code running in your brain, you gain a choice. You can live unconsciously, pushed and pulled by ancient patterns and manipulated by those who know these secrets. Or you can do the painful work of becoming conscious, integrating your shadow, understanding your archetypes and making real choices instead of following programming. Most people will never do this work. They'll live their entire lives controlled by patterns they can't see, defending beliefs they don't understand, following leaders who exploit their tribal instincts. But you're different. You watched this video, you're seeking understanding. That means you have what Jung called the capacity for consciousness, and that's rare. So here's my challenge to you. For the next week, watch yourself. Notice when you instantly like or dislike someone. Notice when you feel compelled to defend an idea you haven't examined. Notice when you're acting from your shadow, your archetypes, your tribal programming. Just notice, that's all. Because awareness is the first step to freedom. If this video opened your eyes to something you can't unsee, do me a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe. We're building a tribe here too, but a conscious one. A group of people who refuse to be manipulated by the old codes. Drop a comment below telling me which archetype you recognize most in yourself. Are you the hero, the mother, the Shadow King, or something else? Let's discuss this in the comments. And if you want to go even deeper into Jung's dark psychology, check out the video I'm linking in the description about the collective shadow of society. It'll blow your mind. Remember, the tribal code is real. It's running in your brain right now. But once you see it, you can never be fully controlled by it again.